When we factor, it doesn't matter what variable we have. Sometimes we have x's, we could have m's, we could have anything. We're always going to start off the same. We want this leading coefficient to be 1, which is good because it is. So we're going to label our a, b, and c. So a is 1, b is -9, c is 8. This is, I always call this the x method. So we're going to make a really big x. On top is going to go our c value, on the bottom is our b value. So we want two numbers on the side that multiply to the top number and add to the bottom number. So we want two numbers that multiply to +8 and add to -9. Since we want to multiply to a positive and add to a negative, both these numbers are going to be negative. We could always guess and check, so think what times what equals 8, so 1 and 8, 4 and 2. So -8, -1, okay, if we multiply those, would give us a +8. And if we would add them, gives us a -9. So that's what we want. So after we get this x done like that, we're going to use just these side numbers. Okay, this is all we want now. And we're going to write them out as factors. So we're going to have our variable m -8, because that's our first number. And then m, second number is -1. And just like that, we factored it. We're done. We do not have to do anything else with that. And let's do one more example of that type. So a is 1, b is -16, and c is 63. Okay. After we get a, b, and c labeled, we're going to make our big X. C goes on top, b goes on the bottom. So two numbers that multiply to +63 add to 16. So again, they're going to both be negative. And just guess and check. You can think about what multiplies to 63. So 3 and 21, 9 and 7. And I think it's going to be 9 and 7. So let's just check that. You can always guess and check, and if you're wrong, it's fine. You erase, you keep going. So -9 plus -7 is -16. If we multiply, we get +63. So we're good. So we just write out our factors. This time we have x for our variable. So x -9. And then x -7. And again, we just use these two middle numbers. And we're good. So let's take a look at something a little bit different now. So this one has this 3 in front, and we don't really like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take that 3, we're going to slide it down to the end, and multiply that 3 with that -5. So we get p squared minus 2p minus 15. We don't like numbers in front, so we just slide them down. I'll explain what we're going to do with that in a little bit. So we label our a, b, and c. So a is 1, b is -2, c is -15. We got that, make our big X. C is on top, think b is the bottom. So we will multiply to a negative number, add to a negative number. So we're going to have one negative, one positive. And I know that the negative is going to be bigger since I want to add to a negative number. Things that multiply to 15 are 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Since this -2 is kind of small, we're going to want these two numbers to be pretty close to one another. So -5 times 3 is -15. -5 plus 3 is -2. So we're good. So we're going to write out our two factors as x, or p, we're using p, -5, and p plus 3. But remember how we slid that 3 down? We need to divide it out now. So we've slid it down, divide it out. It's called slide and divide. So each of these numbers down here are going to be divided by that 3 that we slid. So if we ever make 5 divided by 3, we can't divide it. We're going to take that 3, put it in front of the p. So 3p minus 5. Over here, 3 divided by 3 is 1. So it's just p plus 1. And we're done. It's a little bit longer, but we just have that extra 2 steps. Really simple. We got it. One last example, just to get a little bit more practice with that slide and divide. So whenever we have a number in front like this 2, slide it down. So b squared plus 17b plus 42. A is 1, b is 17, c is 42. We have A, B, and C labeled. We make our nice big X. Big X. So 42 on top, B is on the bottom. So same idea, think about what numbers can multiply to 42. I notice both these are positive, so both side numbers will be positive as well. First one comes to mind is 2 and 21, but that adds up to 23. Next number I would check is 3, which would be 3 times 14 is 41. You can always just use the calculator, guess and check for numbers that multiply to 42. It's 100% okay. So 3 times 14 is 42. If you add them together, you get 17. So we're good there. So we're going to write out our two beginning factors. So b plus 3, b plus 14. That 2 that slid down at the start needs to be divided out now. So we divide the 3 by 2, we divide the 14 by 2. Can't do 3 divided by 2, so that 2 is going to come out in front. That 2 now in front of the b. 2b plus 3. Over here we have 14 divided by 2, which is 7, so we get b plus 7. So always remember, if you ever slide it down, divide it out. Slide and divide. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Ask me in class. Make sure you do your practice on this as well.